All right, today we're diving deep into the animated horror short Anjan Safar, which translates to Unknown Journey. And trust me, it is a terrifying story. But what makes it so effective? What really gets under your skin? We're going to break down its narrative mechanics piece by piece to figure out the secrets behind its absolutely chilling ending. So let's get into it.
You know, this story taps into a fear that's just so primal, so relatable. Just picture it. You're lost, you're driving with your family, the fuel light is blinking, and no matter which way you turn, you end up on the exact same road. It's a nightmare, right? The film asks this terrifying question right from the get-go: what happens when that one wrong turn takes you someplace you can never escape from?
So let's meet our main characters, this family that's basically on the edge. You've got Vikram. He's the dad, and he's desperately trying to use logic to think his way out of a situation that makes zero sense. Then there's Anjali, the mom. Her intuition is just screaming, like a blaring siren telling her something is deeply wrong. And then there's their little girl, Nimi, who's just caught in the middle of all this rising panic. And that's when it hits them, this sickening realization that they're trapped in their car, driving in a circle, an endless, inescapable loop.
And this is where the storytelling is just brilliant. See, the horror doesn't kick off with some monster jumping out or a cheap jump scare. No, it starts with something way more normal and, honestly, way more terrifying. It all comes down to a simple human encounter and a single choice that's going to seal their fate for good.
So they're driving down this endless, confusing road, and suddenly, bam, a figure just appears in their headlights, a silhouette against all that darkness. He's standing right in the middle of the road. And you'd think he's a threat, right? But he's not. He's trying to give them a desperate, frantic warning.
And his message couldn't be more direct. Sab ke sab mare jaoge. It means you will all be killed. Chilling, right? But Vikram, being the practical guy he is, doesn't see a warning. He just sees a problem in his way. He writes the guy off as a drunk or some crazy person and just drives on. And that one move, that single decision to ignore the warning, that's it. That's the point of no return. They've just sealed their own doom.
And then, silence. The engine sputters and dies. The car is out of gas. They're stranded. And now, they're stuck in the dead quiet of this forest. And they have to make another choice. And this one's going to be a big one. Vikram's desperate logic versus Anjali's raw, gut-wrenching terror.
Okay, so Vikram, always the problem solver, he's convinced their only shot is to head into the forest on foot. He's thinking there's got to be a path out of here. But Anjali? Oh, her gut is screaming no. She feels like the forest itself is hostile, like it's watching them, and she's begging him not to go in. And that's the real conflict right there, isn't it? The logical brain versus that primal instinct that's just yelling, danger! Well, logic wins out. They step out of the car and into the dark woods. They walk, and it feels like forever. The trees just closing in around them. And then they find something. Something that proves Angela wasn't just scared. Her intuition was a warning, a terrifyingly accurate warning. Human bones, just scattered on the forest floor, almost buried in the dirt. And in that one moment, that creeping feeling of dread they had, it turns into cold, hard fact. They aren't just lost anymore. They're in a place where people die. The danger isn't some feeling in the air. It's real, and it's right there at their feet.
But wait. It gets even worse. As Vikram gets closer to the bones, probably trying to figure out how to shield his family from this, his flashlight beam catches something else, something lying in the dirt next to them. It's a photograph. And this is just, wow, such a perfect twist. Because the photo, it's of the exact same guy who tried to stop them on the road. The man they dismissed as crazy wasn't crazy at all. He wasn't a threat. He was a previous victim. And that's when the horrible truth just crashes down on them. They've walked straight into the very same trap that killed him.
So pure panic kicks in. They turn to run, but it's too late. The forest isn't letting them go. That feeling of danger that's been hanging over them is about to become very, very real. The hunter is finally showing its face. The attack is just so fast, so brutal. A creature, what they call an Adamkhor, a man-eater, just emerges from the shadows, and in a blink, it takes Anjali. It's just a horrifying blur. And in that one heart-stopping moment, Vikram makes the only choice a parent can make. He screams at Nimi to run, and he stays behind to face that thing, buying her just a few seconds with his own life. I mean, what an incredible sacrifice.
And just like that, the whole story flips. It's not about a family tragedy anymore. Now, it's a desperate survival story, and it's all focused on one small, terrified girl.
I mean, can you even imagine? You're 12 years old. You've just watched your parents get killed in the most brutal way possible, and now you're running for your life through this dark, awful forest with that thing chasing you. The only thing keeping her going is that pure, raw instinct to just live.
She runs and runs until her lungs are burning, until she literally can't take another step, and she comes to a river. She just throws herself into the freezing water. And then, something weird happens. The creature stops. It just paces back and forth on the riverbank, angry, but it won't go into the water. So what is it? What's stopping this monster?
The answer is surprisingly simple: water. For whatever reason, maybe some ancient folklore thing we don't know about, this creature is afraid of the river. It can't cross. And that one little detail, that one tiny weakness, is the only thing that gives Nimi a fighting chance.
So Nimi manages to pull herself onto the other side of the river. She's safe from the creature, sure, but she is completely and utterly broken. She's exhausted, she's an orphan, she's all alone. And the story makes this point so well. Just because you survive the monster doesn't mean the story is over, not by a long shot.
So she's on the safe side of the river, near what's left of an old, broken bridge, and she sees a light. It's a warm glow coming from a single tent, a sign of life, a sign of hope. She just stumbles towards it and collapses. The exhaustion, the grief, it all just hits her at once. So who's in the tent? It's him, the man from the road. And here is the final, amazing twist of the whole story. He's the only other person who ever made it out of that forest alive. But he didn't just run away and forget about it. No, he stayed. He dedicated his life to standing on that road, trying to stop anyone else from making the same mistake he did.
And here's the final chilling thought. Think about all those abandoned cars on that road. Think about all the people who must have been lost to that forest. And out of all of them, there are only two known survivors, the man and now Nimi. That number just tells you everything you need to know about how deadly that place really is.
And that just leaves us with one last haunting question to think about. This man lived through an absolute nightmare, and yet, he chose to go back. He chose to stand at the edge of that hell to warn others. So I've got to ask you, if that were you, if you had somehow survived and escaped, would you go back?